This is the audio for Chapter 14, Lesson 4, Phases and Eclipses. One night, my mom and dad and I were coming home from eating dinner. When we got out of the car, I saw that the moon was turning red. We looked at the moon for a while. Then our neighbors called and said it was a lunar eclipse. It was an amazing sight. So, have you ever been kept awake by bright moonlight? The light streaming through your window actually comes from the sun. The moon does not shine with its own light. Instead, it reflects light from the sun. When the moon is full, this light may be bright enough to read by, but other times the moon is just a thin crescent in the sky. The different shapes of the moon you see from Earth are called phases. Phases are caused by the motions of the moon around Earth. We will learn about those. Motions of the moon, page 527. When you look up at the moon, you see what looks like a face. What you are really seeing is a pattern of light-colored and dark-colored areas of the moon's surface that just happens to look like a face. Oddly, this pattern never seems to move. The same side of the moon, the near side, always faces Earth. The far side of the moon always faces away from Earth. Why? The answer has to do with the moon's motions. Like Earth, the moon moves through space in two ways. The moon revolves around Earth and also rotates on its own axis. The moon rotates once on its axis in the same time that it takes to revolve once around Earth. Thus, a day on the moon is the same length as a month on Earth. For this reason, the same side of the moon always faces Earth, as you see in Figure 1. Kind of creepy face. But as the moon orbits Earth, the relative positions of the moon, as the moon orbits Earth, the relative positions of the moon, Earth, and sun change. The changing relative positions of the moon, Earth, and sun cause the phases of the moon. Moon's motion, the diagram shows the moon's rotation and revolution. They are different. We'll define those shortly. On page 528, phases of the moon. Half of the moon is almost always in sunlight. But since the moon orbits Earth, you see the moon from different angles. The phase of the moon you see depends on how much of the sunlit side of the moon faces Earth. We'll look at that figure momentarily. During the new moon phase, the side of the moon facing Earth is not lit. As the moon revolves around Earth, you see more of the lit side of the moon until you see all of the lit side. As the month continues, you see less of the lit side, and you see these changes in Figure 2. About 29.5 days after the last new moon, a new moon occurs. So it's showing you the rotations over here in the top half, and then it's showing you the lit side and the not lit side, the moon phases on the bottom in Figure 2. Moon phases, as the moon revolves around Earth, the amount of moon surface that is lit remains the same. The part of the lit surface can be seen from Earth changes. So it's always here, however, the lit part is different. We have new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, third quarter, waning crescent. So it goes right around. Not sure which of that information we'll need for our quiz. What are eclipses? The moon's orbit around Earth is slightly tilted with respect to Earth's orbit around the sun. As a result, the moon travels above and below Earth's orbit. On rare occasion, Earth, the moon, and the sun line up. When an object in space comes between the sun and third object, it casts a shadow on the object, causing the eclipse to take place. There are two types of eclipse, a solar and a lunar eclipse. Solar and lunar come from the Latin words sun and moon. So this one talks about solar eclipses. During a new moon, the moon lies between Earth and the sun. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes directly between Earth and the sun, blocking sunlight from Earth. The moon's shadow then hits the earth. A total solar eclipse, the very darkest part of the moon's shadow, is the umbra. You can see how the umbra strikes earth in figure 3. Within the umbra, the sun's light is completely blacked out. Only people with the umbra experience a total solar eclipse. During a total solar eclipse, the sky grows as dark as night. The air gets cool and the sky becomes an eerie color. You can see the stars and the solar corona, which is the faint outermost atmosphere of the sun. So they have a picture of it right to the right. Partial solar eclipse, the moon casts another part of its shadow that is less dark than the umbra. The larger part of the shadow is called the niumbra. In the niumbra, the part of the penumbra, part of the sun is visible from Earth. During a solar eclipse, people in the penumbra see only a partial eclipse. So here's your moon, here's your umbra, here's your penumbra, and then your Earth. Page 530 talks about lunar eclipses, which talk about the moon. During most months, the moon moves near Earth's shadow, but not quite into it. A lunar eclipse occurs as a full moon when Earth is directly between the moon and the sun. You can see a lunar eclipse in figure 4. During lunar eclipses, Earth blocks sunlight from reaching the moon. That's your key fact. Can't see it because it's on black background. Lunar eclipses occur only when there is a full moon because the moon is closest to Earth's shadow at the time. Lunar eclipses, like the moon's shadow in a solar eclipse, Earth's shadow has an umbra and a penumbra. When the moon is in Earth's umbra, you can see a total lunar eclipse. Unlike a total solar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse can be seen anywhere on Earth that the moon is visible. So if you're looking, you are more likely to see a total lunar eclipse than a total solar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipses. For most lunar eclipses, Earth, the moon, and the sun are not quite in line, and only a partial lunar eclipse results. A partial lunar eclipse occurs when the moon faces partly into the umbra of Earth's shadow. The edge of the umbra appears blurry, and you can watch it pass through the moon for 2 or 3 hours. That is the end of our lesson.